The world is full of fascinating urban legends, and none feel more personal and nostalgic than the ones from Myanmar. I'm Burmese, and my family comes from Yangon, in the south of Myanmar. I haven't seen too many videos covering Burmese urban legends, so here I am trying to fix that. I hope you enjoy. You step out of the restaurant and into the bustling streets of Yangon. The air is thick with the aroma of street food, a symphony of honking vehicles, and the humidity of Southeast Asia. It is early nightfall, and the city is as alive as ever. As you walk to your car, you feel an unsettling, prickling sensation on the back of your neck, as if someone is watching you. You quicken your pace, trying to shake the feeling. You turn into an alleyway, riddled with uneven pavement and puddles from the last monsoon. It's a shortcut you've never thought twice about using, despite it being quite void of people. You see a flash of movement while passing by a shaded nook, and you freeze upon looking at what it is. In the shadows stands an elderly woman dressed in traditional attire. Her black hair, addled with silver streaks, was tied back with a yellow ribbon. She holds a large wooden coffin over her shoulder, a feat that should be impossible for a person her size and age. Her piercing gaze burns through you. For a split second, you think she is a statue, and that the movement was your eyes playing a trick on you. But the notion is broken as soon as she begins to walk toward you. In a few days, you will have to attend the funeral of a loved one. Ma Phae Wah, the Yellow Ribbon Lady, is a spirit that appears as an omen of death. In Burmese folklore, there are two kinds of natural spirits. The kind that were born as spirits, referred to as nut, and the kind that were born humans and later became spirits, referred to as nut saint, or green spirits. Ma Phae Wah is a nut saint, as she was once a human. In every depiction, her hair is tied with a yellow ribbon, hence the nickname. In most depictions, she also wears yellow traditional attire. She is also known to carry a wooden coffin over her shoulder or drags it behind her. Either way, she wanders out of the local cemetery with the coffin and leaves it at the doorstep of a home where a family member will fall ill and die. Often, the one that will soon pass is a child. In more recent versions, it is said that she devours the flesh of babies. The story dates back to the early 19th century. Ma Phae Wah was born as Ma Thae U in Pye, a southern city. She also had an older brother, Maung Junsit, whom she had to live with and rely on after the death of their parents. One day, Maung Junsit rebelled against the Duke of Pye, forcing them to flee up the Irrawaddy River. The area they moved to was described as being largely unpopulated and having an abundance of lakes. If I had to guess, they probably settled near modern-day Mandalay. On the run, they changed their names and kept a low profile. Maung Junsit became Maung San Me, and Ma Thae U became Ma Phae Wah. They lived and prospered by fishing on the river. One day, Maung San Me left to go fishing and didn't return. Ma Phae Wah grew concerned and went out to look for him. 3 days later, it was raining when she found him by the river. He had been drinking heavily, and in a drunken haze, he mistook his sister for a demon and strangled her to death. She later came back as a nut, albeit one who was homeless. She went to the local village and asked the senior monk, referred to as a siado, for help. The siado gave her permission to stay in the village cemetery as its guardian. Her brother, Maung San Me, would also become a nut upon his death. He would roam the lakes and rivers as a spirit that blessed fishermen. The source for this is a magazine for short stories and local interest. Obviously not a scientific study, but a great way to hear local folklore. Interestingly, in the 1990s, Dindia Siado, a prominent figure in Guyana State to the southeast, claimed to have seen Ma Phae Wah in a dream. In it, she said she would come to feast on the flesh of babies. He suggested that she go for the flesh of dogs instead, and she seemed receptive to that idea. This incident shaped the perception of her from more of a passive harbinger of death to an enforcer that is directly responsible. Following that, parents posted signs on their door saying that their baby's flesh was bitter, but their dog's flesh was sweet. Ma Phae Wah is the Burmese take on the embodiment of death, similar to the Grim Reaper or the Banshee that Western society is more familiar with. Like her counterparts, she is depicted as either a harmless shepherd for the dead or an enforcer of mortality, depending on who you asked. I'm inclined to think it's the former, that she's harmless despite recent changes. The terms nut and nussang are generally used in a neutral to positive context and have a connotation of reverence. On the other hand, evil spirits are referred to as the ye, a term some of you might know from playing Phasmophobia, but that's a different video for a different day. Theravada Buddhism, which Myanmar practices, teaches that death is a part of our existential reality, that it must eventually be faced. Death is a temporary end to a temporary phenomenon, so said the Buddha, before heading on to the next step, which is rebirth. Ma Phae Wah symbolizes facing that next step. This last part is just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely night.